So we commissioned some research with the University of Minnesota. They did some focus groups to talk to news consumers about what they think about AI. And the results were pretty grim. We learned that most people are pretty hesitant about news organizations using AI. There's already a trust problem in journalism, and so throwing AI in there was only more problematic. People considered using AI cheating. They were worried about a loss of human connection and reporters not actually, doing reporting and writing. So we kind of hacked through how to center AI use in the newsroom on the audience and ethics. And both topics are still kind of, they're still really nebulous right now. We're trying to really nail down what that actually means.
All right. So with this grim outlook for audiences when it comes to AI and journalism, what does that mean for a newsroom that's instituting AI?
Yeah. So I generally am not a doomsayer when it comes to AI use in the newsroom. I think it can be an incredible tool to turn any reporter into a data journalist, any reporter into an investigative reporter. It can empower editors to do more work. It can empower newsrooms to cover far more communities, more school boards, more county commissions, more city commissions. So I'm generally very bullish on the use of AI in newsrooms. But in thinking about how audiences feel about that, you have to be careful as a newsroom when implementing AI. You have to experiment with purpose. Audiences are fatigued with AI. They log on to Facebook or Instagram and immediately are hit with this like little round thing that says, ask me anything. I'm, I'm AI. So people are kind of annoyed by that. So newsrooms can't just throw AI or a chatbot at everything and expect it to like thrill audiences. So you have to use AI to enhance what you're doing, to actually serve the audience, talk to the audience, figure out like what they actually want when it comes to AI, and use AI ethically. Like really think about when you are writing and reporting full stories with AI, like this is it Cora or Cora? Yeah, the AI reporter that was revealed by St. Pete Catalyst. You have to be really careful because people want really firm disclosures on when AI is being used. And the thing that gives me a little bit of pause is when you anthropomorphize AI and kind of make it seem like human, give it a name, give it like give it kind of a personality that can rub people the wrong way in an uncanny valley way. And then also it brings up some interesting kind of ethical questions about, are you very clear that this is a robot doing the work,
All right. And I wanted to dive into that a little bit more, the ethics of it all. What are some of the ethical run-ins? I mean, we can use Cora, for example. What are some of the ethical run-ins that you could run in with an AI system like that?
Well, if you are trying to completely automate reporting and editing, you can insert errors or falsehoods into stories. They're commonly called hallucinations, but I think that is kind of a misnomer. I really just try to be specific. It inserts falsehoods and misleading things into articles. So if you are not really involving humans in the process, that can bring up issues with inserting falsehoods into stories. Using AI in general, there are some interesting ethics questions about the different tools you're using. So some of these tools are black boxes. We don't know where they're getting the data that they're trained on, and there are lawsuits happening right now trying to determine the legality of how they trained these chatbots to spit out the answers that you want. So you have to, really, really make sure you do the research and you're comfortable using a program. Privacy is a big issue. As you are using these tools, you never want to put in any names, especially names of sources. You never want to put in email addresses or anything that you would not want to see the light of day. You don't want to put that in because then it could end up in the training data We're not 100% clear on when, where it goes. So thinking about privacy, thinking about the training data are all things you have to consider. How far you're going to go in showing people text that has been completely generated with AI, I think is a kind of a newsroom to newsroom question that needs to be considered. I think at the time being right now, I've seen experiments in using straight AI generated text that have failed. So ARL Now, a great digital outlet up in Virginia, tried to do a fully AI generated newsletter. I thought it was interesting, but it had some major drawbacks. The copy was corny and not a great read. The voice wasn't great. It was pulling old stories when it was trying to put together the newsletter. It just required too much editing, and it wasn't delivering on subscriptions. People weren't subscribing more. So I love that example because that is a really novel experiment that was made with purpose, that was drawn back when things did not necessarily work out.
All right. So what are some of the skills that journalists may need, may need to develop to be able to appropriately use AI, if that is even possible right now to appropriately use it in journalism?
That's a good question. So I think it is appropriate to use in journalism. I think we are going to have to kind of shift out of this mindset of being afraid of new technology. When social media took, when search took, our industry by storm, when social media took our industry by storm, we were really caught on our heels, and it really showed. And this is a time when we can be teaching the skills of prompt engineering. So these are chatbots. You ask them a question, they give you an answer. That question might be, can you summarize these meeting minutes from our local school board? And then it summarizes them. So prompt engineering is the process of asking the question in a correct way. So these chatbots have a massive amount of data that they go through when they try to spit out an answer. You can use prompt engineering and prompt priming to kind of focus that. So I might ask ChatGPT or Claude, hey, act as a local government reporter whose specialty is school district finance. Please pull out the main bullet points that my readers would care about from this financial audit that just dropped of the district. And you're going to get a much better answer than if you just said, hey, ChatGPT, summarize this financial audit of our school district. So I think journalists need to understand how these tools work. And part of that is just understanding how to interact with them,
All right. And you mentioned a little bit earlier the sort of bleak reception that AI has received from people who consume journalism and consume the news. How much of that do you feel is a fear of new technology? And how much of that do you fear is justified at this moment right now in 2024?
Well, I do think a little bit of it is justified. I think people are justifiably anxious about what a new technology like this is going to do to jobs, to the economy, to creativity. I think there are plenty of concerns. However, I do think we are in a moment that requires a great deal of AI media literacy. So AI literacy, digital media literacy, which is what MediaWise does. Because I think audiences aren't fully grasping exactly how news outlets are using AI. So when they think of it, they, like I said, an audience member might say, oh, if my local news outlet is using AI, I think that's cheating. They might not have any idea that, hey, listen, we've been using AI for 10 years to dig through documents that are helping us bring you more stories, more articles, and hold the powerful accountable. So I think we're at a moment where, we need to have solid ethics policies, but more importantly, we need to have a really concentrated AI media and news literacy push where news outlets are either partnering with media literacy organizations or doing outreach themselves. So, writing articles about how you're using AI, shooting a TikTok about how you're using AI so you can talk to your younger audience about how you're using AI. But mainly what audiences want is they want you to demonstrate value. What value is this bringing to the content that you're giving me? They want to make sure that it's human assisted. How is the reporter and editor involved? That should be like in an AI disclosure. And ultimately, they want to know, the tools used, how it was used. So transparency about the tools that are being used.
And is there anything specific to local journalism that may concern AI that should be talked about or discussed?
Well, I think when it comes to local news and AI, one concern is they're not local news outlets are not part of all of these AI deals that are happening right now. So OpenAI is signing all of these deals with big companies, News Corp and the AP and others. I think there's been a dozen plus deals. So local news outlets are kind of getting left out of the conversation. As a local reporter, an AI tool, chatbot, is not going to have the prerequisite context around a certain issue. It just won't. You are as the reporter. So you might not get a heck of a lot of value out of using a lot of these tools in local reporting because they're trained on these like mass amounts of like national data. So it could tell you a lot about the Congressional Budget Office, but it's not going to be able to tell you a lot about the Tree Advisory Council in Sarasota. So I think as local journalists, you have to really spend time figuring out like exactly what these tools can help me do. I would say for local journalists, one really interesting thing you can do is create custom GPTs, which you can do with OpenAI's ChatGPT, and you can essentially upload lots and lots of documents that you write about. So you could create a GPT that covers your school district, and what you could do is you could upload the last 4 years of school district budgets. You could upload 25 stories that you've written about the school district. You could upload bios of all of them. So you can kind of train a GPT to be more useful at the local level. Now that brings up the question of how much is your content worth? Because anytime you feed a story into OpenAI, whether you want to create a summary for your readers or a TikTok idea or train a GPT to assist you in your job, you're giving up your content. So that's a question that I always ask newsrooms is, how much are you willing to give away? What is your content worth?
All right. So it sounds like it's very 50-50 on whether there are pros, there are cons, and it's kind of up to local newsrooms to decide what's appropriate for them. And I guess take into account their audiences too, possible reception to it.
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, a Poynter. If you go to Poynter's Instagram today, there's a great meme, and it's like the cartoon of the guy at the crossroads, and there's like a sunny castle on one side and like a really dark and scary one on the other side, and the meme text is "Which way, modern newsroom?" and the really beautiful happy castle is using AI, and then the really really dark scary path is using AI. So you kind of like. There are, like you said, there are pros and cons. I think it is essential that newsrooms begin experimenting with purpose with these tools, though.
All right. And lastly, is there anything else you'd like to add you feel we didn't cover, Alex?
No. I think it's not even not just for newsrooms. Like if you are a student or you are I don't know, an accountant or something. Like I think there is room for learning about how journalists ethically use AI that you can apply to your lives. So I wouldn't even say Poynter's AI ethics guide is for newsrooms or journalists. I think really anyone can take a look at it and say, hey, okay, I think I can kind of apply my own values to how I use AI in my day-to-day life.